The pandemic forced us all to go online for work, for school,
We just wrote one number in 3 different ways.
even community events. But for some people who have limited access to the internet or no access at all, this transition hasn't been so easy. So to help bridge the digital divide, the city of Portland used $3 million in CARES Act funding to buy thousands of debit cards preloaded with $364 each to cover the cost of internet for 1 year. But a KGW investigation found the government program had structural flaws. Smart City PDX, which led the city's effort, had no system in place to determine whether funds were used for their intended purpose, a key measurement of the program's success. Critics explain the program relied on good faith that recipients would use the $364 cash cards on internet instead of something else.
We don't know whether the money was spent, where the money was spent, or if it was spent on what we said we were going to spend it on.
By contrast, similar projects elsewhere, including Houston.
Last week, City Council voted to launch an internet voucher program.
And a state-run program in Alabama provided vouchers for service providers like Comcast to ensure that qualified applicants could stay connected.
The vouchers will cover monthly internet service through the end of December.
Smart City PDX suggested that prepaid gift cards gave recipients greater freedom, privacy, and convenience, explaining on its website, Internet assistance cards allow each individual to identify the best way for them to connect to the internet. KGW's analysis of Smart City PDX records obtained through a public records request found the program had unequal distribution. More than 800 people received 2 or more prepaid debit cards. One person took home 6 cash cards valued at more than $2,000. Another person got 5 debit cards despite listing only 4 people in their household. Officials from Smart City PDX explained some recipients needed more costly high-speed internet due to the number of people in the home. The uneven distribution of internet cards is a problem because most of the people who wanted one were left empty-handed. Of the 23,000 requests for internet assistance, only 36% of the requests were met. Records also suggested 60 people who got cash cards were not eligible because they don't live within Portland city limits, a requirement of the government program. Now, there's no denying this is an important project, specifically aimed at helping those who need reliable connectivity most, including people of color, people with disabilities, and seniors. A 2018 survey found 32,000 households lacked internet service in Multnomah County, and about half those households don't have a computer. Portland's Smart City program relied on 24 community organizations to help deliver Chromebook computers, iPads, and internet cards. The bulk of the project went to buying those 8,000 prepaid debit cards, each preloaded with $364. Recipients of the cash cards pledged to use the money to pay for internet service, but were not required to submit their name, receipts, or other documentation of how the funds were used. Program designers admit once the prepaid debit cards were distributed, there was no way to monitor if, where, or how they were used. It was no different than handing out $364 in cash. Eric Fruits of Cascade Policy Institute questioned whether the program achieved its intended outcome.
If the goal is just handing out gift cards, then they achieved that goal. But if the goal was to provide increased internet access, then we have no way of knowing.
Smart City PDX did require the nonprofits distributing the debit cards collect anonymous data about recipients, and most did. But some of that demographic data was incomplete or missing. KGW made multiple requests for an on-camera interview, but the Smart City PDX team declined. As Portland looks to bridge the digital divide in the future and potentially allocate more funding, one critic argues it's important to measure success.
Who are we trying to help? Did we actually help them? I think that's important. It's not just important from a good government standpoint, but it's also important from the standpoint of, are we helping the people that we intend to help?
Okay, Kyle Laboshi joining me now. So Kyle, we know debit cards, most debit cards can tell you where your money was spent. Things like, restaurants and entertainment venues, groceries, that kind of thing. So can't they, in this case, just ask the bank for a breakdown?
You're right. Some cards, they do have that feature, but not the cards the city of Portland bought for this particular program. It really is like cash. There's no monitoring. Now, other programs like the Housing Bureau's PDX Assist, that program handed out a different type of card that does allow for some reporting. You can monitor if a card is activated. The bank can also tell you where it has been used, although not necessarily what it's been used to buy.
All right, interesting. Kyle Leboshi, thank you.